Thanks to the Dragon Chakra avatars, Thetis is free from the threat of not just the Magister Siderials, but the invasion of the Qunari's airship armada. Joined by the heroes of past and present generations, they were able to diplomatically come to terms that would satisfy all parties. But these two events alone pale in comparison to what came next. With the birth of 5 new gods, Thetis would be changed forever.
Saints. We have to address Cedric's problems. Saints.
Cedric's, yeah, that's true. He'll call you saints. But for the first time ever, these gods would walk amongst the people, not as high beings that demanded worship from the lowly mortals, but benevolent ones that truly wished to bring hope to the people. As you can imagine, the Chantry would be rocked by this new revelation. Some would refer to these new gods as nothing more than a dangerous sham, blasphemous high demons that sought to deceive the mortals of Thetis into a false sense of security until the time was ripe to devour your soul. Criers in the streets would warn the people not to trust their lies, for their coming was the beginning of the annihilation of the world. Others saw these gods as living proof of the Golden City, and thus the Maker himself. Their appearance only reinforced their beliefs. These gods were the children of the Maker, the messiahs of the world. Perhaps after the Maker's absence, he finally decided to give his people one more chance by sending his children to the world. Once his children deemed that the people of Thetis were worthy, he himself would also finally return back again. Following these new gods were the key to salvation. Now, despite the denials of such theories from the 5, the people would believe that this would be a test and would hold on to their faith. In time, a new testament of the chant would be created, which the new age of Andrastians would follow.
Rousseau the Resolute. Domains, law, diplomacy, chaos, and fashion. Main warrior... God damn it, Tom. Main worshippers, Templars, White Wardens, nobles, especially Orlesians and Antivan, and Navarrans. Rousseau would uphold all of his domains, but would put a higher priority on diplomacy as he feels it's his duty to properly mediate the Fade in Thetis. He believes that the two realms interacting too much could lead to problems, plus he would want mortals to live free from god interference as much as possible. And considering he has the other 4 gods to keep an eye on, this feat is easier said than done. He would also prefer to remain away from the Golden City as much as possible, at least until Violetta passes. In the meantime, most of his business would keep him among the mortals, as he took the role of god begrudgingly. Rousseau would seek out Davin, Garrick, and Hilda to sell some unfinished business from his family and past work life. The Navarrans would erect a giant statue of Rousseau honoring his roots in their city, and he would always be welcome within their walls. Overall, Rousseau would act as a mediator to his fellow gods. He would review when intervention is needed and or carry out the reactionary judgments to big enough events in the mortal realm. One of Rousseau's bucket list items was searching for the elusive Archon Radonus. Ever since their discovery of his lab in Navarra, they discovered no sign of him since. Perhaps he succeeded in stealing someone else's body and is now living under the guise of a totally new identity. In which case, discovering him may be nigh impossible, but perhaps the ex-Archon will slip up eventually.
Fucking Archons like cockroaches. Daretham the Redeemed. Domains, empathy, redemption, disease. Main worshippers, awakened darkspawn, Black Wardens, the sick. With Tyrann's help, Daretham begins R&D to mass-produce the Blight cure, which they finally manage over the course of the next year. Oh, that was quick. It is immediately given to the awakened darkspawn. As one of the blessed offspring of the Maker, Daretham's influence helps establish peaceful relations between the darkspawn and the rest of Thetis. He begins offering alliances with the dwarves, helping to awaken the rest of the feral darkspawn in exchange for more ties. More on the Grey Warden's involvement later. Daretham's next big project is working R&D to cure lyrium addiction for Templars. In just a few years' time, they are able to allow the Templars to continue taking lyrium for their powers without any of the previous ill effects, with Cedric likely being one of the main test subjects there. When not researching, Daretham remains vigilant, keeping an eye on Leon, in addition to the activity of the lesser gods Razakael and Lexicon. The latter two seem to be compliant to the mastery of the new gods, but he is not 100% convinced it will last. Fucking former slavers. Beyond this, Daretham tries not to overtly interfere anywhere, but helps foster empathy and redemption in people, and helps those who are dealing with disease. He won't eradicate natural diseases, nor would he lessen their effects, as doing so would interfere with the balance of nature. But sinister, magical, or artificial diseases would become fair targets for him. Possibly the largest impact for Daretham is his attempt in providing empathy between long historic rivals. This includes mages and Templars, masters and slaves, and the like. Even though harmony cannot be achieved overnight, and at the end of the day the individuals have the free will to choose to make amends with each other, he becomes the catalyst in many social changes for the better moving forward. He will attempt to foster empathy within demons themselves, but will quickly discover that his powers, like all the 5 new gods' powers, only affect beings from the Fadist realm. Being from the Fade, like demons and spirits, those are immune to his influences. He didn't necessarily expect it to work, but it was worth a try.
Pasha the Unyielding. Domains, managers, protection, lovers. Main worshippers, unorthodox Kunari, leaders, managers, guards, angsty teens.
Yes! I worship Pasha!
Pasha's main agenda is to completely restructure the Qun. In general, she convinces the Qun to open up to new ideas and become more tolerant across the board. There shall be no more forced conversions. Anyone who wished to leave the Qun would be allowed with no repercussions. Any mages that were found to be committing serious crimes would be made tranquil rather than being forced to take Sarkamek. Pasha admits that situation is a bit of a work in progress. She would also try to liaison with other countries by offering an exchange of knowledge. In other words, let's put our scientists together to see what they create, and we will share the inventions type of deal. She would really try to imprint on the Tamazrans who raised the children the importance of teaching cooperation and open mindfulness. Not all the Kunari are satisfied with these changes, and Saharon will go through some turbulent disagreements internally, which in itself is uncharacteristic of true Qun followers. This will inevitably result in a succession that splits the Kunari people into orthodox and unorthodox Qun followers. Pasha would also spend some time planting the lilies, which Albion Mermont provided for her from the Wizarding World. These magical plants from another universe worked wonders in purifying the water wherever they grew. In the distant future, perhaps the services of the Guardian of Water would no longer be needed. As for Andrea, Pasha would ask her to visit Saharon, in addition to asking for her aid with the water situation as they awaited the spread of the lilies. Pasha would also ask Andrea to speak to the children about life outside the Qun. When Saharon was stable, she'd find a replacement Arakun who was also on board with restructuring and step down from the role. This would allow her to stick around Saharon for a short time to make sure that everything was in order. Such realignment in the Qun would eventually find the Kunari more collaborative in foreign affairs than ever before. It's slow at first due to the Ravane invasion, but Pasha's patience will pay off in due time. Though there will be many who leave the Qun freely at the beginning, with the numerous changes in the unorthodox Qun, they actually will acquire a net gain of new followers over time.
Before Skull goes, can I just say, Edgelords unite!
Yeah! Unite! Tyrion the Free. Domains Perseverance, Freedom, Healers. Main worshippers, non-Dalish elves, healers of all types.
Certified or not.
And now we
healers
have
of all
Leon.
types. That's the meaning. Tyrion undergoes his community service for the city of Tevinter, as promised. He helps improve the relationship with the Magisters and tries to persuade them to consider the option for changing the laws for slavery. At the same time, he implores the slaves that they shan't spill blood for freedom, else the city of Tevinter will rein in more blood. Between his and Deriton's influence, slavery is abolished in the city. However, this leads to segregation and civil rights issues with the elves. The city would enforce separate but equal rules, similar to Jim Crow laws in real life, which would be a hot topic for Archons to come. Still, it is a major step in the right direction. There is still much work to do. His relationship with Calpurnia improves thanks to his aid and being a bodyguard for her on occasions. They actually form a fairly tight partnership that rivals that of Kenos. Over time, Tevinter will slowly gain the trust of the rest of Thedas. This becomes easier as mages are more accepted in society and seen less as ticking time bombs. By the turn of the next age, Tevinter will not have nearly the same stigma they once had from their neighboring countries. Archon Calpurnia will be recognized as the one who started this revolutionary change. In one moment, Tyrion is resting in the Golden City with an image of Tevinter in front of him. Smiling, he looks at each village, town, and city marked on the map, thinking about all the future possibilities of what he can do to the country he serves. He then says to himself in a whisper, "Thank you, Amarin, for giving me the opportunity to do something that matters instead of serving you." With that, he rises and prepares to leave and continue his work on Tevinter.
And now we have Leon, the evil.
Yes. No, that's the secret
angsty
title.
Teenager.
Secret title to be unlocked with new achievements.
That's the secret ending title. You gotta buy the DLC to get it.
Oh yeah. Leon the Learned. Domains, blood, research, and secrets. Main worshippers: Antivan crows, spies, scholars, merchants, mages, and blood mages. Leon begins by assisting the transition in Cedric from Night Vigilant in order to allow the progress in the Templar Order. Leon sets up safeguards against blood magic, but still allows research in the field. Unfortunately, much of that research could have been aided with all of the knowledge in Pyrrhus's pages, but it was the price to pay in order to maintain the existence of his friend and teacher. He continues by setting up an exchange of research. The Omni tool that Gwenael gained during his trip to the Mass Effect universe finally comes into play here. With Cogs' help, they manage to invent a device that acts as a search engine of sorts for shared knowledge. Google! Between all the circles of Magi, any thesis that catches his eye gets added to Pyrrhus. He also sets up a teaching position for Pyrrhus at the White Spire, the first instructor in history that happens to be a sentient object. His cynical wit apparently makes him a favorite teacher for many mage students. Leon also sets up research on the stone that may be a way to connect dwarves to the Fade. Perhaps by the next age, this will be possible, and natural dwarven mages may finally be a reality. Finally, Leon's biggest item on his list is destroying Sethius once and for all. With the aid of Darethum and Russo, they gain permission from the Black King to release Sethius and execute him. As powerful as the Magister Sidereal is, he is clearly outmatched by 3 gods. However, his teleportation abilities do present quite an obnoxious chase for the gods, though they do eventually manage to take him down.
Sorry, just to say, is of course fucking Leon with his blood magic secrets makes Google as his first thing. Of course.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's easy to share knowledge once you actually know what you're looking for.
Fucking Thedas Google.
Plus, I haven't used Gwenael's Omni tool for anything, so that probably was a good use for it. So
fucking Google.
Daz Truel. Russo would jumpstart the process of the Scaled Ones becoming more integrated with the rest of society. Once he formed the initial bridge, he remains as hands-off as possible, believing that further intervention as a god would hurt them more in relations down the road. Following the ascension of the new gods, the Chi Islands experience a cultural flux. With the help of Rousseau acting as an initial linchpin, the Scaled Ones once again join the greater world of Thedas. At first, there is some resistance, but between the Scaled Ones' actions and the backing from the new gods, peace and a large thriving trade begins. There are heated debates over the existence and fundamentals of Chi, and while some are skeptical of what it is greatly sought as a new alternative to the arcane. The dojos of the islands experience an influx of new and somewhat strange new students to the ways of Chi. Daztrul himself would make many expeditions to the mainlands once the barriers were lifted from the islands. He chooses to be not a hidden monarch, but the welcoming, kind face and voice of his people. He keeps his word that the Ascended Champions would have homes on the islands and would visit those who came as much as he could while they were there. In the years to come, he would offer Tyrion an office on the islands, and should he accept, he would find himself an honored and appreciated man of healing. Having quickly seen that he was not the person his parents were, Daztrul would reach out to Leon and assist in the research of the scaled fruit and other fauna of the island. In 20 years' time, Thedas now has thriving scaled fruit tree orchards scattered across its lands. Knowing that family and bonds are a difficult subject for Rousseau, Daztrul would never force his customs upon him. Out of respect, he keeps the relationship mostly to the realm of business. But Rousseau and his family will always receive polite invites to holidays and gatherings. Should he ever choose it for them, there would be an extended family waiting for them. Despite the rocky start, Daztrul had truly felt a kinship to Pasha and keeps in frequent contact with her. He would attempt to get together as often as they could for some tea, some sweets, and thrilling flights over the islands. With the discovery of the cure to the taint, Daztrul discovers much greater peace. The day that the taint fully fades, mere days after, Daztrul names a successor. He passes peacefully in his sleep.
Violetta Alren. Rousseau would give Violetta the fertility potion and will celebrate the birth of their new biological child, a beautiful half-human, quarter-Kossuth, quarter-elf girl. Violetta teases by suggesting they could have Balin name his sister, and that would most likely end... Okay, let me start that.
It is canon.
Over.
It must be canon.
And that he would most likely end up naming her Hannah. Most likely that would not end up flying with Rousseau. Violetta will enjoy the rest of her years raising a family, and when she does eventually pass on, she will rejoin her king in paradise in the Golden City, and most likely make some additions in a new wing that involves more shrunken heads and alike. That one might be a little debatable. We'll talk about it.
What? Everyone needs a skull room?
Hey!
You're Navarin. A skull room is very Navarin.
I'm not saying we don't have it. Just like if we have guests, you don't want it in like the living room. Is the only argument.
Maybe have like a rope pulley system that just pulls over and covers it all with a flap.
There you
It
go.
just flips around.
He's got the hearse to
Like-
just make him disappear for a sec. Make him seem like Christmas lights out.
Like, what was it, Moe's Tavern when he had like the casino or something? Just, like, everything flipped around.
Yeah. Anyway.
Darren the Wrathful. Following the end of their epic adventure, Darren and Dertham will take a week off on the Chi Isles as a well-deserved vacation. All the Chi fruit they can eat during the day, and plenty of celebrating and dancing in the evenings. Dertham will also help clear up Darren's slave status with her master. Sometime shortly after, Dertham will propose to Darren, and the two of them will get married amidst all their friends in the Golden City, mostly due to Darren's proddings. she will continue doing what she loves, dancing. She actually opens up a new dance fighting school, which rises in popularity. Rises. I can't read. People from all over come to watch the tournaments, which essentially is a combination of a dance recital and a martial arts competition. It's quite addictively entertaining. And again, whenever Darren passes on, she too will join her husband in the Golden City.
Rosie Solmy. The biotic dwarves are revealed to the world thanks to their involvement in the Kunari invasion. Their existence is brought on with much suspicion, but they will become old news over time. This also comes with the reveal of Faith, the Asari from another world, in addition to many daughters with Archer. That would take a bit more time to become old news, but with Zachariah's help, they will form an official school to recruit and teach even more young biotic dwarves. Hogdwarf's School of Biotics and Magery.
Can we please give shame points to the DM? I don't know how. Okay, Athenaeum, you guys have 15? We thinking 15, guys? Yeah, 15 shame points. You can use them to affect the DM somehow. I don't know how. Athenaeum, you take free reign with that. 15 shame points.
If you get a ruling you don't like, you just say, not today.
Yep, you get 15 instances of that. After that, good luck. You're probably fucked.
No, we need an exchange, like a student exchange between Hogwarts and Hogmeads, or Hogdwarfs. Hogdwarfs.
And Hogsmeade. We gotta have the three, because we gotta have all the hogs together, you know? We gotta have the warts, the dwarfs, and the mead, you know? We gotta make sure it's everything.
Yeah.
The whole pig.
Faith would serve as a headmaster, with Zachariah as one of the head professors. Rosie's relationship with Leon would grow, and yes, she will desire to have children. And you know what that means for Leon.
Hey, buddy!
They will raise their children under the stone, and by the time Rosie passes, she will return to the stone herself. Fortunately, by then, Leon will have found a way to connect to the Fade with the stone so they can continue to be with each other for all eternity.
Beastmaster Athon. Pasha would try to make sure that whatever griffin that Vala mated with was also bonded with Athon. She would recommend to the Grey Wardens that he oversee the griffin repopulation program. Beastmaster Athon would be delighted, and he will leave the circus in order to focus on this initiative. His relationship with Pasha will continue to flourish, and they will continue to have more adventures together. Eventually, Athon will return back to his Dalish clan with Pasha to see if he would be allowed to reconnect. The clan is hesitant to accept him, especially seeing him romantically involved with Pasha. But upon noticing the blessed golden halocrown on her head, along with rumours of her being a god, they took it as a sign to rebuild the rift between them.
Nathan Sunward. The Prince of Thedas will grow up to be a fine man, especially thanks to the influences that the Dragon Chakra avatars had on him during the course of the adventure. He returns back to Thedas with all the data he collected for his prototype gun in the field, and this will allow Cersei to mass-produce the handguns in the future. Obviously, introducing a new deadly weapon into the arsenal of Thedas comes with both positive and negative consequences, but those matters will have to be addressed in the future. Cersei. Prince Nathan will not pursue the throne of Thedas, as that was never something that interested him. Instead, he will travel around Thedas, continuing to help Cersei field test his future firearm prototypes. Tyrion visits Nathan occasionally, chatting about life and catching up. They also have shooting contests with each other, just for fun. Once Balin's old enough to become Guardian of Fire, Nathan will partner with him on his adventures.
Balin Elren. Rousseau would do his best to balance his newfound role as a god and family. He would also make sure that he spends plenty of time with Balin, even if some of his duties get slightly abused. Rousseau would let Balin meet his parents in the Golden City, reunited at last. Aveline and Donnic would be grateful to Rousseau for taking care of him in their absence. Under Violetta's training, Balin will become a prodigy, and by age 15 he will be ready to take on the mantle fully as the new Penta'viv Guardian of Fire. one of the most powerful guardians ever, when Cedric, Andrea, Theoben, and Kenna pass on, he will be looking for their rebirth and will eventually be the leader of the next generation of the Penta'viv Guardians. Oh, and naturally, Hannah Navarra would become his partner, similar to how Esbern was for Kenna. You're really killing me with all this Hannah Navarra stuff, Mark.
As it should.
I think that's it. It's okay,
Oh,
I got
no.
15 shame points, so
There you go. You
worth
earned
it.
all of them.
It's worth it.
You earned all of them. Balm. Like the biotic dwarves, the awakened Darkspawn were also revealed to Thetis. But thanks to their crucial involvement in the Rivian invasion, especially with the influences of the new gods, the awakened will become integrated into society in due time. Though, admittedly, it would take years for them to be fully accepted by society. Balm will retreat to a more peaceful life, continuing his craft as a masseuse, but he will also train people in the ancient ways of acupuncture as an alternative to modern medicine and magic. Finally, Balm will eventually discover the secret of grooming himself the most exquisite blue mustache to ever befall any living being in all of Thetis, one that even rivals that of Dorian Pavus himself.
Oh, bold. What a bold statement.
And
It's got-
speaking from a completely unbiased and godly perspective, yeah, Balm has the better one.
Oh, shots fired, everybody who's watching.
The shade.
Shame.
Baum needs to develop his own line of mustache cream and then have a rivalry with.
It becomes a 3 quintillion gold industry for both of them. And they always donate the money to like the other person to just out of spite say, hey, I got this money. How's this for you?
Why is it bad? I'm imagining it like the commercial for Baum's mustache cream being like, maybe it's beauty, maybe it's Godvaline.
Oh my gosh. Maybe he's born with
Maybe
it.
it's Godvaline.
Has like the stupid nonsensical like perfume commercials.
Pyrrhus and Mr. Bunn. Mr. Bunn will indeed propose to Pyrrhus one day, but will do so in a way that Pyrrhus felt wasn't grand enough, so he declines. Mr. Bunn. He declines Mr. Bunn, telling him to try again next time. After 3 more attempts, Pyrrhus finally says yes, and then there's a small intimate ceremony in the library of the Golden Palace. That's a first for the history books, which you know Brother Genetivi would be reveling in. From that point forward, they will be jointly known as Mr. Pyrrhus, Bun E. Side. Haha. Pyrrhus will continue enjoying the rest of his existence, teaching young mages at the White Spire, while also providing cooking tips on herring pie. I like to imagine that Mr. Bunn is sitting in the corner of the teaching room, and everyone thinks that he's just a stuffed rabbit, and but Mr. Bunn is using his psychic powers to see which students the most engage and which students need like a little bit more help trying to understand the concept. And then that's why
Not only that, but then for the student who's not engaged, at one point they're about to leave, and they just look back and they just see the bunny staring at them. And they hear in their head, I know what you did.
That's amazing.
Valor. With the partnership of both Pasha and Master Ignaldo, the circus will present a limited time only extravaganza of the very first Bachelorette show starring Valor. Over the course of several weeks, the 3 strapping griffins will vie for her affection. Much drama and twists ensue, keeping fans speculating, gossiping, and theorizing over the course of the show's run. It becomes a smash hit and will spur on numerous similarly formatted shows in the future.
Oh, God.
In the end, Valor selects the Ginger Griffin because this is an Angel Arts campaign, so of course she would. And together, they will repopulate Thetis with their clutches of babies.
And eventually, the Ginger Master race would consume all.
The alpha ginger.
Yeah, that'll be a problem for the new aid.
Ouch.
Can I just very quickly say, when Dominic was reading Darren's thing, I was like, this sounds like Dance Moms. Not, but like, that's one of the next shows.
One of the next shows, yeah.
Okay.
What have we done?
Corin Elren. The Grey Wardens were split, with Fergus's side becoming the Black Wardens and Corin's side becoming the White Wardens. The White Wardens will remain keeping a close eye on the Awakened Darkspawn, as it will take many more years for them to finally accept them, if at all. After Balin reaches the age of 10, Russo would finally take Balin to meet Corin, with the explanation of him being his uncle. When Balin reaches full adulthood, he will confess to Balin what really happened to his biological parents. As you can imagine, this creates much internal conflict with Balin, causing a bit of rift between him and his uncle. Meanwhile, the Black Wardens will assist in helping to clear the deep roads for the dwarves and Darkspawn. But with the archdemons being a thing of the past, the threat of another blight is no more. Eventually, the Grey Wardens will dissolve as an organization and become legend in the New Age.
Orzammar. The truth is out, and the dwarves finally know that King Kyne has been keeping the Awakened Darkspawn a deep secret from the general public. The reaction from the Orzammar citizens were deeply mixed, with some extremists attempting to rally the people to dethrone the monarch at once. Sorry, Andrew. However, after King Kyne's supporters point out that the sheer number of tigers they have reclaimed in the deep roads, among his other accomplishments as their king, it grows easier and easier for the people to overlook this lack of transparency. No other king had managed to secure such a hopeful future for the dwarves, and dethroning him now would be idiotic. The alliance between Fortuna and Orzammar will continue to benefit both sides. By the beginning of the next age, the dwarves will have regained virtually all of the tigers they once lost, and their people will grow and flourish.
Master Ignaldio's magnificent circus. Master Ignaldio's circus will reach record-breaking fame once he begins leveraging the fact that the children of the Maker have gone on a sacred pilgrimage in his caravan. More
Sure.
people, sure. More people will flock to both patronize and join their circus. With some encouragement from Tyrion, a portion of their profits would go to charity and continue spreading the good works of the new gods.
It's like 0.01%.
He's a businessman after all. Mai and Tai would continue dating Spin and Dry. The four would become quite inseparable and would enjoy regaling the patrons with stories from their adventures with the Dragon Chakra avatars. They would market blessed holy prune juice to keep the evil demons away. Yes, because as proven, that is the only way to keep demons away. Prune juice.
But what about Tumble?
Yeah. Oh, you'll see. It's coming up. Bostwick had always had a soft spot for Tyrion, and he's glad to see how far the young elf had come since he first met him at Amren's estate. The two of them would continue to grow close, perhaps even become a father figure to him, though it was never Bostwick's intention to ever replace Tyrion's biological father. By the end of the next year, he will purchase Senior from the Amren family, under the guise of Nerica, of course, and free him of his services into Winter. As for Tumble, well, he definitely takes full advantage of telling everyone about how his stones were blessed by Tyrion the Free, especially the ladies. Thanks to Tyrion, my stones are always destined to be free, he would say.
And Tumble has become a gigolo. The best end.
He'd become a pimp. He becomes a pimp. The reliability of this tactic in his romantic pursuits is completely up for debate. Perhaps
Works every time.
Perhaps Tyrion should seriously consider charging the dwarf next time he goes for his annual checkup. Then again, he probably can't even charge anyone anything while still uncertified. Not even Godhood would get around that.
I mean, if anything, gotta pay you, they're not sure of your service for that, so you're probably you're kind of out of a job as a god. It's kind of an issue.
Oh god.
Dan the man.
Dan the man.
This one.
You actually made it a thing, Ark.
As long
Wait, why
Okay.
is Tommy not reading Dan the Man? Explain this to me.
He's got his part. You all are reading Dan the man. All of you are reading Dan.
We all get to share.
Yeah.
You all get to share in Dan the
You all
man.
get a shot.
I mean, we will all be inferior copies of Tommy's Dan the Man, but we will try.
Anyway,
Okay.
I'll name Dan the man.
Shouldn't I do that?
Should you, or should I? Or no?
I-
You can do
I
it. Go ahead.
don't know.
Go ahead. Apologies.
Who the fuck
Apologies.
cares?
Who the
Can
fuck
we
cares? Go ahead,
all
sir.
say it as one?
Yes.
5,
Sure.
4, 3, 2.
Dan the man.
After finding his nephew in the aftermath of the carnival demon, Dan would bring him back to his sister. A lengthy argument that led to Dan not being allowed to watch him anymore would follow. Dan would keep plugging away at helping Finn with his new sport until he finally discovers a book while flying his drone. After picking up the book, it says, "Property of the Athenaeum." Upon picking up the book, Dan wonders, what's an Atheotum? Athenia? No, that's not right.
Okay, Daniel the manual. You've got this. Remember, you passed school with straight C minuses. You're a genius. Athenaeum? That's it. Athenaeum. Wait, I remember Finn's nerdy friend Toby talking about something like that. Guess I'll go see him about. He looks around the open field of Russia he's in. Man, I really gotta, stop talking to myself. He finds Toby eventually while on the way to his nephew's birthday party. They have a very awkward first interaction. Then, Toby takes him to the library, explaining what he's trying to do to preserve it. At some point, Dan pipes up.
Look, homie, that's cool and all, but I just want to return this weird book I found and go to my nephew's birthday party. Toby responds, wait, you have a book from here? For shizzle, my shorty, Dan says while holding up the book from his backpack. Toby instinctively tries to grab it. Dan jerks it back reflexively. Whoa. You can at least, thank me first? I went out of my way to bring this to you. Toby stutters while saying, be careful with that. Don't realize that you've got on your hands right now?
Dan, showing that he has paid very little attention after this point, replies, "Look, Holmes, it's just a book." Two would struggle for a bit until the book gets knocked out of his hand onto a shelf, causing some books to fall out onto the floor on top of one another. His book falls open on the ground. Dan would see this and turn back to Toby. "Oh, my bad, I got carried away. I'll clean that," Toby exclaims. Uh-oh. Dan turns back and sees a glow from the book. Is that supposed to happen? Then there is a flash of light.
Cuts to Dan falling out of the sky screaming before doing a spell to stop himself from thudding on the ground. After rolling over, he looks at the forest he's in. Yo, what weird wood hood is this? Then looks at his backpack ripped. Ah, frack. I lost the strategy guide I bought for my nephew. Wait. Am I in, Kansas?
The end?
The end, question mark?
The end?
The end?
After 2 decades, life in Thedas was truly starting to evolve for the better. First, the heroes of Ferelden repaired the sands of time and healed the land after the 5th Blight. Next, the Penta'viv Guardians brought order to nature itself from the threat of the breach. Finally, the Dragon Chakra avatars became gods themselves, reclaiming the seed of the Maker, transforming the Black City back to gold. Their powerful influence would leap the world forward into the next age. The Dragon Age was an age of legends, generation after generation of heroes that rose and sacrificed to shape Thedas into what it is today. As we near the end of the Dragon Age, we are hopeful for a brighter future and wonder what new legends will be born. Will those stories ever be told, you may ask? One can only hope. For the time being, rest well, our dear heroes. It is a time to rejoice. It is a time for change. It is a time to welcome a new Ascension. Until the crossover next time.
Everything goes shit.
Yeah, hey, Thetis, it's dark fantasy. We can never let you go on for too long. You've had officially 5 minutes of good things. Okay, you're gonna get 3 decades and then probably another century after that, so good luck.
Or here's a multi-page book about how awful those good things actually were. So
Exactly, right? Yeah, everything you thought was good, it's actually bad. It comes with all the dark fantasy contracts. You gotta read the fine print.
Unfortunate.
Oof.
That was beautiful.
That was
Yeah.
wow. Damn. Holy. That was